There are enough legitimate needs in the world to ensure that you live in penury. Just so you know. Now, even in Bible welfare for the church, there was age limit. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now you have the right to say, my parents are retired, they will be my priority. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there must be some, when resources are limited, you can now say, I can't send people to school yet, but I can send money for food once a month. I can do 5K monthly. I can do 10K monthly. And for now, anything beyond that, I can't do that. Why is my cousins, younger brothers, elder brothers, younger siblings, neighbor's daughter, who is just 25 years old, always asking me for money? Okay, at this stage of my life, I can't do that. I can't help with that. My only priority for now will be daddy. Or my only priority for now will be mommy. And as time goes on, I'm going to increase in my generosity. I'm going to add more people to the list. And for listen, the reason I'm saying this is because there is a crab mentality. Have you heard of the crab? So there is this interesting experiment that was done to say, when you have like 10 crabs into a container, you don't need to put a lid. You don't need to put a lid. You don't need to stop the crab from escaping, because as long as there are other crabs in there, those crabs will stop their neighbors from going out. As long as when one is trying to climb out, they drag that one in. So this is what I'm saying. If you're not careful, you will end up eating your seed, eating your capital. All right? Because you are still trying to cross poverty line. You still they try. You have been praying to God, done NSPPD, gone to Shiloh. God has given you a job. Now you have given all the money, even money for transport, to be effective in that job. You no longer have. So now, if they sack you, everybody will be all right. You will sit at home with everybody, then look for the next person that everybody will obtain. So now, this is what I'm saying. You need to put checks and balances so that you can be in a better position to even abound more generously and help people. You know what? Even as a pastor, I've had cause to call some people aside and say, you know what? I appreciate your generosity, but at this rate, you won't even have savings in the future, and you won't be able to give in a more systematic and consistent way. So how about you put some money aside, invest in something, save, so that you can even be more of a blessing on the long run. And that's how I want you to think. So for that to happen, you must even learn what you can afford. A lot of people don't even know what they can afford. I remember years ago when I began to learn a bit about finances, someone tried to sell something to me. I think it was a wristwatch. And I said, I can't afford it. And he looked at me funny. What do you mean? You way we know. You can afford it. I said, the fact that I have the money for it doesn't mean I can afford it. You see, a lot of people don't know this. If you have 20,000 naira, you can't afford a 20,000 naira perfume. You have the money for it, but you can't afford it. There's a difference. That you have the money to buy something does not mean that you can afford it. If you have 20,000 naira in your account, the people who buy 20k perfume are not your mates, respectfully. The people who buy 20,000 naira shirts are not your mates. You can't afford it. And so, a good way to start this conversation is to begin to talk about simple things like a budget. You must have a budget. You must have a budget. You must know how much you spend. There is something financially smart people call recurrent expenditure, and that's the amount of money you spend consistently. So what's your recurrent expenditure? All right? And a simple way to do this is just go to your bank. Ask for your bank statement to be printed. Let them print your bank statement for the past 3 months. I assure you, when you do that, you'll be full of revelation. By the time you add what you have been using on pizza, you'll be amazed. You will be amazed. You can just discover, what? 500,000 on ice cream in the past 3 months. You'll be shocked. Bank statements reveal a lot. All right. And when you do that, the goal is now to balance your income with your expenses. So where is my money going? And where should my money go? So you must have a fair idea of how much recurrent expenditure, is demanded of you, of your salary every month. How much does it take to transport yourself? How much do you spend on food? For another reason why stuff like this will be very revelatory is because many times, to save time, we just enter into one eatery and buy food. Not everybody can afford that luxury. So these are the things that looking at your bank statement will expose. You might now have to make a resolution. You know what? I'm going to go to Iya Basira and I'm going to give her money, or in fact, that's still luxurious. I can't afford that. On Saturdays, I will buy soup. I will buy ingredients. I will cook soup for the month. Put it in a deep freezer. So you begin to make wise choices like that. By the time you at least know what is required of you. All right? So you must have a budget. The reason I'm saying this is because some of you don't even have the right to complain that you are being taxed. You have no rights to complain. Because if you manage your finances better, you'll probably be able to give better. All right? If you manage your finances better. So that's why we need to talk about this. You need to budget. And let me just give you, there are many general ideas, a lot of ideas out there on how to budget. But this is what I would say that will help you. You need to know what are your needs. And you need to know what are your wants. What are wants? Wants are things that are not necessary but improve the quality of your life. Things like Netflix. You can survive without it. You might hate to believe that, but it's true. Trust me, you won't die. It's not oxygen. Needs are, of course, food, transport. You must transport yourself to work so that you can keep making money, so that they don't sack you. All right? So you need to know what your needs are. You need to know what your wants are. And then you now need to have another category for savings. This is very important. So now, your needs, do your best to make sure that this is not always practical in this part of the world where the average person lives under $1, whatever this is. But try to ensure that your needs are not more than 50% of your salary. Try. If you can't do that now, that's fine. So the reason I'm giving you this pie chart is so that you'll be honest with yourself to say, you know what, I can't afford to have Netflix subscription yet. What I would do is once or twice a month, when I want to watch a movie, I will go to my friend's house. You see, let me tell you something. It takes living above peer pressure to be a smart planner.